So
I'm going to answer this question first because me and Josh, we've talked about this. So when Duke lost that Final Four game to Houston, not only was I very upset because my FanDuel money was on the line, you Duke, but in my opinion, Cooper Flagg was in an unprecedented situation where he is this superstar, sort of potential new face of the NBA, maybe, especially in the Americas here. And he had a chance to control his own destiny, in my opinion, because of NIL. If I was Cooper Flagg, I would have flat out not declared for the NBA draft until I saw what that draft lottery ping pong ball looked like.
And
because,
unfortunately, he couldn't make that decision that late because otherwise it would have been a whole different deal.
Well, here's the deal. Because if I was him, I would have used my leverage that I have at Duke to try to get more NIL money. I would have tried to use my leverage with the NBA to try to get a better team to potentially, even if they didn't get the lottery ping pong balls, move up to get that number one pick. Because Cooper Flagg absolutely should not be going to Charlotte. He should not be going to Washington, and he should not be going to Utah.
You don't think Utah?
No. Utah would have no chance to win a championship with Cooper Flagg with that competition out west.
You're right. Yeah,
I actually think the only team out west that he would generally could go to that I'd be happy for would be San Antonio, but I don't see that.
There's no way that they're getting that lucky again. Although then again, we all said that, and especially Bill Simmons said about the Cavs.
The one team, and it's not going to happen because they have like a 0.1% chance. I want to see him go to Chicago. I think that the East needs it. Listen, every superstar in the NBA for the most part is out west.
I want to keep beating up on Atlanta. That's what the city I want to keep beating up on in terms of just Trae Young and co.
Listen, I think the East needs him. I think Chicago or Philly need him. That's where I want him to go. I don't want to see him out west because I want to actually see a superstar not start a game at 10:30 at night on the East Coast for the most part, because the East, we're staring at a broken down Giannis team with a Milwaukee Bucks team who can't coach their way out of a paper bag. Jason, Mr. Boring Tatum, and Donovan Mitchell, who's a good player, but he's not top echelon superstar player of this league. I'm sorry.
Dude, if you say that and the Cavs win the title, you may have people coming after you.
They're going to win the title because of Evan Mobley becoming their best player, not because of Donovan
Mitchell. Which I have told you about. He was going to break out by this point. And I will hold it over your head forever, regardless of Bickerstaff.
So let me just say that if they're going to win the title, it's because of Evan Mobley, not because of Donovan Mitchell. Nonetheless, this is why we need Cooper Flagg in the Eastern Conference. No, it was the wrong decision for him to declare. He should have held out.
And I'm guessing I'm the tie-breaking vote because, Josh, you probably wanted him to go pro. Is that correct?
Yeah. First of all, thank you, Duke, for losing because I correctly predicted the national championship would be the Florida Gators against the Houston Cougars. And I again correctly predicted the national champion, Gators.
I have a disdain for Florida because they kicked off that whole SEC dynasty run with Ohio State, both hoops and, well, not hoops, but both in the same year, basically, hoops and football.
Yep, because Florida won the national championship in 2007 against Ohio State in college football. And
I will make you shut up at some point soon about that because that one's a sore subject. By the way, I've got my number on my shirt right now. I got my Will Howard jersey, baby. My 18 is back.
It's going to be interesting to see where he goes in the draft also. That's an interesting
I've
point.
been trying my best to not view it through a rose-colored glasses lens. Like, I think he's got elements of, like, a Mayfield Allen kind of game, but like, he's a project. He's very much a long-term project, but I can see it, but at the same time, I've also been trying to not be clouded by my Ohio State fandom. It's like, how much is it reasonable and how much of it is just like the other stuff in my head where it's like
wide open guys in college. He never had to make a tough throw in his life.
He did step up a lot during the postseason run, though. He did do really well. But in terms of let's keep it on Cooper Flagg here.
Yes,
I think he should have stayed in college. He should have maintained his leverage, and I think honestly that could have. I shouldn't say it should have set a whole paradigm shift in motion, but I think it really could have shifted the scales of just what might have ended up happening in the next year or two in college hoops, especially, it would have had an entire domino effect.
Oh, I'm not saying stay in college. I'm saying just not declare.
I'm thinking he should have just period. He should have just stayed in school. But the only part that's the only part where I could disagree with you on, Brandon, just on this one point, and it's a little more of a baseball point. It's pitchers, especially, you've seen, a bunch of them, Tommy John, time bombs and whatnot. I mean, who was it that just went down the other day? I forget the name right now, but it was, who was it?
Down for Atlanta again.
Yeah, well, it's not Strider. He had a hamstring, but there was someone else. Justin Steele with the Cubs. He was an all-star last year. I'm pretty sure.
1-0 right
but
now.
Ben Rice has been a great leadoff guy for the Yankees, as much as I hate to admit it, and he's a rookie. But Justin Steele just blew out his elbow, and I don't think he signed an extension. If he did, I mean, you saw a bunch of extensions this spring. Especially, there were a lot of pitchers getting some money too. The pitchers, especially with them blowing their arms out. If Cooper Flagg were to have an injury in college, if he'd stayed at Duke, that's where he might come to regret it later. But at the same time, I think it would have been the right decision for him to stay and try and take that risk. I know Marcus Smart wasn't the same caliber of prospect, obviously. Let's not put him on that level, but he did stay, and I think his draft stock might have slipped just a bit before he got selected in Austin. But I would have stayed in school if I was Cooper Flagg. I'm not sure if there's a situation that I would have wanted to go to this year. And plus, you don't know the draft order until it's far too late, I think.
Yeah,
for the most part.
That part I agree with.
Well, wait, why would it be too late? The draft order
because the withdrawal date, I think, is before the ping pong balls. If I'm not mistaken.
That makes no sense.
Well, it used to be if you went in, you were fully in. Now you can dip your toes in and get some eval.
Yeah.
If you don't remember, Brandon.
And so that's where we don't know the order because the draft.
As long as you don't hire an agent, you can go back to college.
Right.
I did not know that.
We don't know the order yet because the draft lottery hasn't happened yet. But in terms of the answer to this question for me, I think, he should have gone back to school. Not because of the teams that are in the lottery, though.
But the NIL would have been, he would have probably raked in at least, and this may sound like a bogus figure, at least 10, but I'm thinking closer to 20 million. Easily as the face of college hoops.
So that's not even why I'm saying he should have gone back to school. There were at least 4 games this season where he had the ball in his hands to try and win it for Duke, and he missed. And I think it would have been, again, this is just me going into personal story making mode. I have a tendency to do that. It could have been a good redemption story for him to go back to school, get another chance to make one of those big shots during a game, whether it's in March Madness or if they're playing a big regular season game against Kansas or Kentucky, whoever, and prove that, yes, he can make that big shot in a pressure situation. I get it.
Now that I agree with you on, he does not have the clutch gene yet.
I think he will have it, though. And the main thing is that, and for me, I've had to learn a lot from failures. And I think failure will definitely help fuel Flagg at that next level. I don't think it would have been as big of a deal, because in Flagg's mind, what more did he? Because I'll just say this: I don't think Flagg we have so high expectations for Flagg right now, right? Well, we say he's probably, along with Wembanyama and probably one or two others, the closest to a LeBron hype as we have had in a long time. I'm not even counting Wiggins in this at this point.
Wemby was closer.
Wemby was closer. But basically, there's not much more he could have proven. I mean, we had such high expectations for him that, whether it's 2, 3, 4 games, Duke only lasts 5, 6 games total all year, and that's the tough part. It's if you get hurt in one of those final games, let's say they go back to the Final Four and he gets hurt, he tanks his draft stock. I mean, what do you do then? I mean, that's where I think about it from that angle.